The opinions and suggestions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and are not necessarily endorsed by KRMG, Cox Media Group Incorporated, or the program sponsors. This following program is sponsored by Causeway, LLC. Information in this broadcast is not intended as an investment, tax, or financial advice. Matthew Moore is not a licensed investment advisor and speaks solely from his experience and opinions. All information in this broadcast is for entertainment or educational purposes only. Matthew Moore, Causeway, LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa are not responsible for the success or failure of any person's investment decisions or purchases. Matthew Moore, Causeway, LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa makes no and expressly disclaims all representations, warranties, and guarantees with respect to this broadcast and its sponsors. Investing in any market is inherently risky and can be financially dangerous. Invest at your own risk. Gather knowledge in the world of cryptocurrency right now on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk. Welcome to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Matthew is locally based right here in Tulsa. Questions, comments, concerns? Call 918-460-5764 or send us an open mic using the KRMG app. Now, here's Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore.
I'm going to take off my news hat and I'm going to get into my learning hat because we are digging for digital gold in the world of Bitcoin and non-fungible tokens and all kinds of stuff that I struggle to understand. If you're like me, you came to the right place because these guys know their stuff and they know how to put it into English. Let's turn it over to our host, Matthew J. Moore. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Russell, and good evening to all the crypto newbies, lovers, and experts. If you are interested in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, you are at the right place. So keep it on this station. Don't dial away because we have a fun and full show today. In fact, I've got my co-host with me, Eric Cooper. He's in studio. Eric, why don't you say hello? You were recently in Paradise.
Yeah. We were rocking it out South Padre. We usually go to North Padre, but I love being back here in the States, here in the fine city of Tulsa, the number 2 big city, right?
Yes.
Number 2 big city.
Most affordable.
Most affordable. But yeah, we got some great guests today. Here in a little bit, we're going to bring on crypto influencer Rice Crypto. He has 20,000 subscribers on YouTube with 3 dedicated programs. And we're going to talk about, why Bitcoin and decentralization are important aspects to the new emerging economy. We met him waiting for an Uber back in Miami, met him in person, and it was pretty fun.
I know. It was funny. I was outside the hotel and I was like, oh, I know that voice because I didn't even see him first, and I heard his voice because he got this really raspy voice. It's quite and I'm not I'm straight here, but I mean at the same time it was pretty sexy, like he's got
bromance. I think they call it
bromance. Yeah, he's got a good radio voice. But anyways, I turned around and I was like, hey, it's Rice, and so we chatted up, and I was like, man, you got to come on the program, and so I'm excited to bring him on. But we will also be having Alex Leishman from River Financial. I met Alex at a recent Bitcoin meetup that we had here in Tulsa, and he's going to tell us how we can buy Bitcoin this summer with no fees.
What?
Yeah, what, right? So if you're interested in figuring out how you can buy Bitcoin by dollar cost averaging on a regular basis this summer and not have to pay all those high fees that most people charge, then you want to stay tuned because we're going to be talking about that towards the end of the show. But I'll tell you what, Eric, the fees, you've been buying Bitcoin recently. Yeah. What's been your experience with the fees?
So obviously you think of it this way, it's $1.99 here, or, it's $16 here. But then when you look at that, it's the same reason why we tell you not to use your crypto to buy things right now, because the $45, the $180 that you're spending in fees right now, that may be worth $5,000 at some point, and we expect it to. So let's not do that.
I'm telling you what, sats add up. Stacking sats is what they call it. So, if you're not a whole Bitcoiner yet, don't worry. Just keep stacking sats. And if you're on the fence about Bitcoin, I want you to think on this for a minute. Okay, think about this. Put your thinking cap on. Think critically here. Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market might seem a little boring if you've been watching it, or you might be a little scared. But here's the interesting fact, okay? But Bitcoin has been the best performing asset, hands down.
Say that again.
Best performing asset.
As compared to what? In the list of all assets?
All assets, S&P, everything. Over the last decade, it has been the best performing asset.
Even through the correction happening currently.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at where Bitcoin was a year ago, I mean, it's still up. I mean, just with Bitcoin has a compounded annual growth of around 200% a year. And that's mind blowing. That's hard for people to wrap their mind around. But just this year, we are up 264%, and the S&P 500 is only up 38%. So yeah, it's volatile, but it's also very rewarding if you can handle the volatility and have a time horizon in which you're not trying to cash out. And that's a whole nother story. We could talk about how you evaluate wealth, whether it's in dollars or bitcoins, but that's for another show. But here's the thing, despite its volatility, like I was saying, the grand picture, it has been in my opinion, a 12-year bull market with bearish moments. So if you bought at the recent all-time high of 64,000, please don't freak out. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, but I'm speaking from experience here, okay? It's higher highs and higher lows. This is a long-term game, and we're still early, okay? We're not like the super early adopters. That was a handful of years ago, okay? But if you're in it, you're still early. You might be late, but you're still early in the early stage, right? Most Americans don't hold Bitcoin yet, but they will, in my personal opinion. And in my opinion, it's also irresponsible to not have at least a little bit of exposure to the best performing asset in the world. The fundamentals are strong. New users are being added to the network each day. And maybe you just need to understand the fundamentals better. Maybe you need another Bitcoiner in person to talk with, or talk about Bitcoin. And we are a unique breed of people. Bitcoiners are a unique breed of people. And we have, in fact, we have one of those unique individuals, Charlie Spears from American BitPower. He's a regular guest on the show. He is a part of an operation here in Oklahoma that does Bitcoin mining, Ethereum mining. And I'll tell you what, Charlie, you have an event coming up, and I want you to tell the audience what to expect.
Yeah, good to be back here, Matt and Eric. Charlie Spears, your local Bitcoin miner and local Bitcoin guy. One other thing I do is I run and coordinate local Bitcoin meetups every month here in Tulsa. This month is this Thursday, the 1st, at 6 o'clock at Heirloom Rustic Ales in Tulsa. 6 o'clock Thursday, Heirloom Rustic Ales. And so we typically, this is a group where we just meet in person to talk about Bitcoin. A lot of it's educational. Sometimes we have featured guests. In fact, we actually featured the guest who's at the bottom of the program today, Alex, a few months ago, and that was fantastic. But we just like to talk about Bitcoin. A lot of people it's kind of crazy. It's a crazy space to be. And if you have someone in person who who lives in the same town, who can help walk you through some of these basics, or just reassure you when the price is down, that's one of the best ways. You can hodl, you can watch YouTube videos, you can read all about it, but to hang out with other people like-minded, that's another experience. And that's where all that craziness kind of feeds together in a crucible of a Bitcoin conversation. So again, this Thursday we're talking about it, and one of the featured things is this Thursday we are calling this the Bitcoin Crash Course. So we're gonna kind of step back a bit, go back to fundamentals. 3 lightning fast presentations by Matt here on the show, me and Andrew, and one of the coordinators of this. We talk about the whys and hows of Bitcoin. Matt, your presentation is called...
It's Bitcoin for the billions, not billionaires. Yeah,
so we stole that from a title of a talk that we loved down in Miami, and we think it maps very well. I'll be talking about just kind of investment thesis, how you can think about buying Bitcoin, and then we'll also give a lightning presentation on best practices for owning and self-custodying Bitcoin. So we'd love to see you there again this Thursday, 6 o'clock at Heirloom Rustic Ales.
So Charlie, but I got to ask, you're pretty influential in the Tulsa area when it comes to the Bitcoin space. I mean, I would say the Bitcoin space in Tulsa is definitely growing. We're definitely catching some attention. Where can people contact you or follow you or get to know what you're doing?
Yeah, well, I am a bit more unfiltered with my views on Bitcoin on Twitter at CB Spears. That's at CB Spears. And from there, you can go see the projects I'm affiliated with. The mining, independent consulting, or just whatever I'm thinking about. This is a very rapidly evolving space where there's just so much information, and it's really hard to find signal. One of the things that you and I do, Matt, a lot is try to find that signal in the noise. So, follow me on Twitter or DM me anywhere. You can on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's been a great place lately for Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of consider us, I don't know about you, Charlie, but I kind of see myself as a Bitcoin evangelist a little bit, and what it has to offer for the people in general. We were just talking in studio here. Eric, you are a full-blown believer now. A Bitcoin believer, right?
I mean, I'm 100% in. South Padre, my daughter's swimming. I'm at the pool. I had said something to my daughter, and she brings up Bitcoin. 3 guys come over and they said, "Do you know about that?" And so we have this nice long conversation. They were like, "Hey, by the way, do you want a few beers?" So yes, it's all about once again finding that signal during the noise.
Yes, that's right. And if you are wanting somebody to hold your hand through this whole process and getting in the space, or you want to learn about why our monetary system right now is broken, because you got to know the problem before you know the solution, go to mattjmoore.com, purchase my best-selling book, Foundations for Liberty, or contact me, and I'd be more than happy to do a consultation, because this space can be tricky if you're not careful. And I want to keep you guys safe, and that's what this program is for. So if you've got questions, and if you have a topic that you want us to cover on the show, please go to the website and submit a question, because we would love to cover those for you.
All right. You are listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We are live and local in the big city of Tulsa. Now, Charlie, if they want to get a hold of you on Twitter, is CB Spears, is that spelled like, multiple sharp pointy sticks?
Yeah, just like Britney Spears.
Okay, SPEARS. And Heirloom Rustic Ales is the site for that meetup. We'll tell you about that again, so grab a pencil. After the break, we'll give you a reminder. And we'll be back with more of Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore, live and local on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Doesn't your pulse just get to pounding when you hear that music? Mine does, because I know it means we're ready for another segment of Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Welcome back. We are live and local on the old KMR 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. My name is Russell Mills. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are here to learn about crypto, you came to the right place, because we've assembled a panel of experts, and we've got them here pretty much every week. That's going to be, we'll kick it off with our host, Matthew J. Moore. You wrote a book about all this.
I did. Thank you, Russell. Yeah, no, absolutely. Part of understanding cryptocurrency is understanding the monetary system, understanding what's broken, because a lot of people who get into space, they first get into it because they understand the problem. But, sometimes price brings people in, but sometimes people stay for the fundamentals, or they stay for the technology. So however they get into the space, or however you are considering to get into the space, you're at the right place. You're listening to the right show, because cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, it might be kind of confusing or intimidating for people who are new to it or considering about getting into it. That's why we cover the technology aspect of it, the historical side of it, the monetary policy side of it. There's so many, whether it be philosophical or political. You really got to wrap your mind around all this, because it's very, very thick, very deep, and we like to go deep. So we're here in studio, and I'm with my co-host, Eric Cooper. Eric, why don't you say hello?
Hello, everybody. And this is usually where I tell people, if you've missed shows of our past, you want to hear a little bit more about the whys, the history, go on to KRMG, look on the on-demand cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. You can listen to our past episodes. You can check out his website, MatthewJMoore.com, or Matt J. Moore. Matt J. Moore, yeah. No thew. So leave the thew out. But go in there, check out the YouTube page, because he's also got the our spots on there. Next week's going to be 4th of July, so happy birthday, America.
Yeah.
Freedom.
America.
Right? Monetary sovereignty.
Monetary sovereignty.
That is what this is about.
Yeah.
And so today, we're going to bring in Rice Crypto from the YouTube channel Rice TV. Once again, RiceTVx, that is. Rice has over 20,000 subscribers on the YouTube and has been a longtime voice in the crypto space. He's a content creator who often explores topics in cryptocurrency, politics, and economics. Rice, welcome to the show. I assume that you're here on here with us. Can you explain to the audience what you do and kind of how you got into the space?
Yeah, well, first of all, gentlemen, I really appreciate you guys inviting me on this show. And it was really cool running into you in Miami, Florida as well. I'm glad that you recognized my sexy voice.
I know.
Sexy voice.
Yeah, hopefully that was okay to mention. But I was like, I seriously, I was standing outside. I didn't even see you, and I just heard you talking, and I was like, that's Rice Crypto.
No, it's Rice Crypto, and he hit me in the back of the shoulder, and so now I'm not thinking. Now I'm like, why are you doing this? So yeah, Rice, welcome.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate again, gentlemen. And as you mentioned, I am a content creator. I have a YouTube channel. I'm also have a podcast people can find on anchor.fm at Rice Radio. You mentioned Rice Crypto, and that is now one of my 3 shows on my channel, RiceTVx. I have since rebranded from Rice Crypto brand because I didn't want people to think I was limited only to just cryptocurrency content.
And that's what's so cool about this space, Rice, is in my opinion, and I might be jumping the gun here, but there's a lot of unique individuals in the space, and there's a lot of truth seekers, there's a lot of questioners, there's a lot of learners. There's just people who are just naturally curious. And what I love about the content that you put out is you're just always asking questions, you're interviewing interesting individuals. And I think even on one of your programs or on one of your descriptions, you say you interview people about the stranger than fiction issues. So it's unique to see how you've kind of developed over the time, but we're probably cut from a similar cloth. And I definitely classify myself as an independent thinker and pursuer of freedom and liberty. And a lot of people who've been early into this space seem to be that, like I'd mentioned earlier, tech nerds, sound money enthusiasts, libertarians. That's basically the ultimate genesis of Bitcoin, in my opinion, is some of the smartest and most altruistic people are also in this space. The motives behind all these projects and the people who are investing and the people who really understand it. I mean, it's a fascinating space. I mean, being in Miami at Bitcoin 2021 was a perfect example. It felt like family. And that's ultimately how we met, So my question to you is this. What is it about the cryptocurrency space that attracted these kind of innovators, early adopters, unique individuals? To me, it seems like it might be centered on this idea of don't try to fix the broken system, instead opt out. Do you agree?
Yeah, and what I would say is when Satoshi Nakamoto released a Bitcoin white paper on Halloween of 2008, that was right after the 2008 crash that we had, which we technically never really recovered from. So a lot of the people that got involved in the space I see as the cypherpunk mentality, which really were anti-government, anti-bank. If you remember the Occupy Wall Street movement, and then the Fed movement with Ron Paul, a lot of those type of people, the libertarian-minded people, were some of the first early adopters. And I think that's why they gravitated towards these technologies.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want to interject here. We had marches on Wall Street when we had bailouts for $500 billion. Now we're talking like $6 trillion and more, and deficits and all that stuff keeps growing, and you don't get the same kind of response. It's like people have been numbed.
Well, it's numbed, and also look at everything that's going on over the past year and a half. Yeah, I'm not sure what we can and can't say on live radio because
you can say anything, just don't cuss.
On YouTube. But yeah, it's really crazy what's going on. I mean, ultimately, we're seeing a failure of our financial system, our economic system. It's the end of a fiat cycle,
right?
And we have something like Bitcoin and decentralized cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology to really give us a way out. To take that power away from the central banks and from governments, which ultimately have been the problem.
Well, we recently saw a tweet from Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategies, who I might add is probably now one of the largest holders of Bitcoin. He recently posted a quote from Ayn Rand, which it read, "Without property rights, no other rights are possible, #Bitcoin." And I agree with this idea that our life, our time, our energy are all property, and we have the right to it.
Yeah.
That this right should not be infringed upon by others or the government because the use of force or indirect inflation is morally wrong, and that the tool that we use called money, it deserves to be sound. It deserves to be decentralized, voluntary, and limited in supply, similar to gold and silver. And we ultimately have the right to choose what we want to use as our personal form of money. And I know you probably share the same sentiment. In my opinion, it should require the same amount of energy and sacrifice from those both who work for it and create it. Money represents our labor, our time, our energy, and freedom. So what is your take on this, Rice, real quickly before we go to break? Do you think Bitcoin is the birth of ultimate property rights?
Well, when I first read the show notes, it made me really think about this from a different perspective. And yes, I can see that. Ultimately, when I got involved in cryptocurrency and blockchain, when I really started seeing the true value of what these technologies represent, it made me start thinking about a world that we don't need money. And we can start looking at different ways of valuing our labor with one another, our energy with one another. And it allows for that freedom.
100%. You're right. Now, despite the mess that we see in our traditional financial system right now, what has you hopeful for the humanity's monetary future?
Well, people are starting to wake up to what money is.
Yeah.
Versus what currency is.
About time.
And we're in a currency-based system. When you deal with sound money, you're actually dealing with money. And I encourage people to check out Mike Maloney's. He's got a series, a YouTube channel. The series is called Hidden Secrets of Money. And it's a 10-part series, and it's really educational. It explains a lot about what's been happening for people to have a better understanding. But ultimately, I mean, this is just giving the power back to the people. The people can step up and take that power.
Yeah, it's the separation of state and money is what we're experiencing. It's accountability, it's competition, it's this change in how the system is done. I mean, it's amazing to see it unfold, because I really do think we live in crazy but also historical and opportunity times of crazy opportunity. And I know you see that opportunity, Rice. And so, when we come back, we're going to have more with you, Rice. We're going to ask you some more questions. And if you're listening to this and you got questions, go to my website, mattjmoore.com. Let's carry on this conversation further. But, if you want to learn more about this, go and buy my book, Foundations for Liberty, where I talk about the monetary system, because, this is a big aspect of it. And what's happening is significant and historical. So you don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. My name is Russell Mills. Appreciate you hanging out with us. We got to take a quick time out and do that news and weather thing that we do for you. A quick reminder, there is a Bitcoin meetup. It is Thursday, July 1st at Heirloom Rustic Ales. You'll find that spot on East Admiral there, just west of Yale, 2113 East Admiral. Again, that's 6 p.m. July 1. If you're interested in meeting up with some of the folks, that would be the time and the place. More Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore coming up on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Hope you're listening live right now. We are on the air. We are on the interwebs. We are all over the place. We are talking about cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. It is the show that's breaking new ground here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The guys asked me about my radio show T-shirts down to a recent convention in Miami, and you got a lot of attention out of that, didn't you? So as we sit here, these guys are tracking the price of Bitcoin. And it's an amazing thing for those of us who used to wait for the Wall Street Journal to come out every day to figure out what was going on with the markets. Those days are gone. Now it's a second-by-second thing, and I guess it's good news. But let's turn it over to the guy who might actually know, and our host, Matthew J. Moore. How's it going, brother?
Hey, thank you, Russell. It looks like we have the Midas touch. We went on air, and Charlie was mentioning to us earlier on studio that the whole marketplace is skyrocketing right now. And so I just got all giddy because it was a lot of, obviously it's a lot of fun to see that happen. But, this is if it sounds like a party, if this show sounds like a party, and if you didn't go to Bitcoin 2021, it's like the greatest educational, empowering, but plus a party, phenomena, and that's called the cryptocurrency space, the Bitcoin space. And I've got my co-host, Eric Cooper, who also likes to learn and party with me as well. Eric Cooper, why don't you say hello?
I would say this is, I think it was said that, there's different types of people who get in this space. I don't share a lot of the same stuff with you, Matt. We overlap somewhere else, but I'm interested in monetary sovereignty. I want to be in control of stuff that's going to affect me and my children, right? And so so welcome back to everybody. And if you're in your car right now, or if you're listening and you're sitting there, my sister's listening for the first time, Elizabeth, I love you. But if you are sitting there and you're thinking, well, why? I mean, can I? How do I? Call Matt. Go to his website, mattjmoore.com. Go on to the YouTube channel. Listen to some of the stuff, because once again, this is not Star Wars. This is not, weird stuff to where weird people only do this. We are a group of people who are advocating for you to have more control over what you need, your money. So today we've got Rice Crypto, and once again, this is RiceTVx. He has just recently rebranded. He has over 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he's been a longtime voice in not only the cryptocurrency space, but as he mentioned last segment, in a lot of different spaces. So he's a content creator, and he explores topics in crypto, politics, economics. Rice, once again, say hello to everybody and introduce yourself and kind of what you do.
All right. Well, thank you again. My name is Chris Rice. The channel is RiceTVx, was formerly Rice Crypto. And as you mentioned at the top of the show, I do have 3 shows underneath that channel. The first would be Rice Crypto Show, which obviously talks about crypto, blockchain, and fintech technologies. The second would be the Rice Report, which is about politics and economics. Really try to teach people a lot about economics, especially about what's happening currently with the inflation that mainstream news is such as talking about. And the third and final, which is Stranger Than Fiction, that was mentioned earlier. And that's where I cover things like hidden history, spirituality, some things that people may deem spiritual conspiracy type stuff, and things that are in relation to law. I've been looking into real sovereignty. When we talk about monetary sovereignty, I've been looking at trying to take it to the next level.
That's awesome. Well, it's kind of like, we hear a lot of people, being, I don't know, I guess scared of what could happen in the future when it comes to control and centralization and, I guess, liking to communist ideas. But most importantly, if you're a Christian, we have a lot of faith-based individuals here in the state of Oklahoma, and I consider myself a Christian as well. But, a lot of people look at cryptocurrency and blockchain technology and they're like, well, wait a minute, is this a puzzle piece to like the mark of the beast system? Like, is this going to affect me? But the truth is, we have a tool. And this is a tool. A tool can be used for good or it can be used for bad, right? Just like a gun can be used to defend yourself or it can be used by tyrants. And so the way I look at technology is very, very similar. And we've got decentralized projects. We've got privacy cryptocurrencies. But we also have, banks and governments talking about issuing their own. And so we just see this unique development of these two ideological worlds clashing with each other. What's your opinion, Rice? Do you think this technology can be used to liberate us or to enslave us?
Well, great question. I would say yes to both. It's both the problem and the solution. The future is definitely digital. And as you said, crypto and blockchain are tools. And so we need better tools out there, better alternatives. Governments and such are talking about digital currencies, central banks talking about central bank digital currencies, gov coins, Fed coin, digital dollar, digital Chinese yuan. El Salvador's now made Bitcoin legal tender. I think you're going to see a lot of nations that you would look at as being poor nations because of monetary issues in their countries are going to be adopting these technologies more. So what people need to realize the most about this, though, especially when it comes to decentralized cryptocurrencies and blockchain, is you're dealing with open source technology. You can go through the code, you can audit it. Now, I'm not a person who's a coder, so I can't do that myself. But there are people out there that can do this, and you can educate yourself to these levels. So you don't have to trustify. You can verify. You don't have to trust. You have to verify. And that's just that's the basic motto that goes in cryptocurrency. With open source technology, you can look at all the code. So I don't look at Bitcoin itself as being a potential mark of the beast. And I was raised Christian, and I call myself a practicing Christian. I follow the teachings of Jesus as best I can. So I look at this from that perspective as well. But I don't think it's going to be Bitcoin or a decentralized open source technology is going to be used as the mark of the beast.
You're right. I mean, and I think that we align pretty similar right there, Chris. And I mean, I almost feel like, if you look into that pretty deep, you're going to see an underground network that needs to be ran. And I feel like would lead more towards that. But that's a different show, and that's a long show, and that can get people pretty fired up. But so do you see a world where both decentralized and centralized projects competing against each other start happening? And do you see a world of multiple cryptocurrencies?
Yes, I mean, most definitely. I see a time and a place for centralization. I mean, there's some things that you can't, that just really, it's not feasible. It's not good to do in a decentralized manner. So, you have to look at what the consideration and what the situation is and how you're going to be utilizing those technologies.
Yeah.
As far as like seeing the world of multiple cryptocurrencies, I definitely see that. I don't see Bitcoin as being the only cryptocurrency that remains successful. You're going to have projects like Ethereum potentially, if they're able to scale the way they're looking to, or these platforms that are competing against Ethereum like Polkadot and Cardano. So, and I think the future is really going to be about cross-chain and interoperability.
Yeah.
And giving people that ease of use where people don't even realize that they're doing something that's blockchain or crypto based.
So with that said, though, do you have any favorite projects that you really follow and like?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm a big Bitcoin fan. What Ethereum is trying to do, there's obviously a lot of different platforms that are trying to compete against Ethereum. And I don't know that Ethereum is going to be 100% successful, but they're very much enterprise oriented and working with the banking system, the legacy system. So I'm looking at other alternatives. I'm a big fan of Nexus, and it's a cryptocurrency that competes with what Ethereum is doing and much more. People can look at them at nexus.io. I'm also a fan of Presearch, which is creating a Google alternative so that you can control your data with your searches, and you can also earn a token while you do that as well. So it's creating real use case, real utility. And right now it's on the Ethereum blockchain, but they're looking at cross-chain implementations as well, because again, I really believe cross-chain or interoperability are the futures. Divi is another project that's kind of under the radar that I'm a big fan of. And then some other platforms that are competing against the Ethereum outside of the Nexus realm. I'm a big fan of Polkadot and Cardano, and also Chainlink, with being an oracle that allows for communication between multiple blockchains.
Yeah, I mean those all sound like unique and good projects. I know you probably have some criteria that you go through when you look at which ones that you're going to invest in or learn about or get involved in. And I have a process, and we were sharing a little bit about that with Charlie and Eric here in the studio a couple minutes ago. Which mine is essentially, I ask myself these questions, which is, I see 90% of the cryptocurrencies failing, but I do see a world of multiple cryptocurrencies, different projects, different use cases, right? So when I take an investment approach, I go, okay, does the use case make sense? Do they have a working product? Is there a good community that's excited behind it? And then are there developers or notable people that are involved in it? And then the last one I look at is market capitalization. What's that like? And if I can answer pretty good to all those questions, I feel pretty confident in investing in those. And maybe you're listening to this program and you heard a bunch of things that you're like, what in the world? That I don't even know where to begin. These words, these ideas are completely new. There's websites you can go to. You can go to CoinMarketCap, and they've got links to all the different cryptocurrencies in their websites and how they work and what they're proposing. But ultimately, I think we probably share some of the same ideas. What's your method, Rice, when it comes to picking yours?
Picking the cryptocurrencies that I look at and potentially invest in. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much a lot of what you said. The other thing I would add is when I talk about codes and things like that, with the projects being open source, you can go to sites like GitHub and check and make sure that there's actually development being done, that there's that the team is actually doing what they're saying they're doing. Unfortunately, there are a lot of projects out there that that just are really speculative and sometimes don't even really have the intentions of completing what they are talking about doing. So people just need to really be aware and do their own research and make sure they're not investing in something just because it sounds good. Because usually if something sounds good, it usually is
Too good to be true.
Yeah, Chris,
too good to be true.
we're about to hop in a break here, but again, we appreciate you coming on. And again, RiceTVx is where they can find you. And do you have any last things here for us where people can come find you online before we head to break?
Yeah, RiceTVx.com. Obviously on YouTube, RiceTVx, or you can even find me still with Rice Crypto. And everywhere else on social media at RiceTVx. And just as far as cryptocurrency and stuff, I really just encourage people to make sure you take in the time to educate yourself.
Yeah.
Don't invest more than you can afford.
Yep.
And don't invest more than you can afford to lose. And just be smart. Take the emotion out. Think of a long-term strategy plan.
Love it.
Do what you can.
Well, thank you so much, Rice. Loved having you on. I look forward to having you on again in the future.
Thank you.
You are listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We are live and local in the big city of Tulsa. Give us a few more minutes. We'll be back with more content, and then we'll remind you how you can listen to the show anytime, any place. Right now, you're listening to 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We are live and local in the big city of Tulsa. And I'll prove it by telling you, man, it rained a lot overnight. And you know what? It's going to rain quite a bit in the next few days. So if you're out driving, do be careful. Take your time. As I mentioned, if you missed part of this show or you'd like to hear some of our older shows, and it is all good stuff, and it's going to take you more than 1 hour to wrap your mind around this stuff. Don't forget, you can always go to the KRMG app or krmg.com. Look for the on-demand section, and then look for Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Or you can visit his website. We'll tell you about that at the end. Right now, let's turn it over to Matt J. Moore.
Thank you, Russell. It's always a blast to be in studio on Sundays talking about cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, monetary sovereignty. There's so many topics that we cover. And if some of this is new to you, if some of it's foreign to you, that's okay, because we're here to have a conversation. We're here to encourage you to dig in, do some homework, because the topics that we're covering have potential to impact your life in a very significant way. Yes, cryptocurrencies are volatile, but life is also volatile, And so it's like it's kind of a metaphor, right? Like, and I got Eric Cooper here, and Eric, you yourself. I have loved watching you evolve and grow in this space. Why don't you tell the audience who you are and how you got in?
So, I mean, obviously, we cross each other because we work with Young Businessmen of Tulsa.
That's right.
And so I also work here for the station. And so we came up with this idea, and I still remember taking that picture of our first conversation with the program director and just thinking that this could turn into something great. Now, when you brought it to my attention, I see thousands of dollars going out every single day. There's no longer, when people say we're printing more money, that doesn't happen anymore. Now it's just a sticky note and then bing, bing, bing. Now we have 13 trillion more dollars.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? And we're paying some banks some percentages just to kind of back us up. So that's not sustainable. And so this is an opportunity for checks and balances. This is an opportunity for monetary sovereignty. And once again, happy 4th of July, 1 week from today.
America.
Once again, America's birthday. And so, yeah, long story short, I personally will not call myself, on your level or maybe Charlie's level. I'm trying to get there, but it is something I want to educate myself. Last segment, we had Chris Rice with RiceTVx, and I encourage you to go on and check out some of his stuff, because he is not promoting or pimping himself. He is trying to educate you, and if you want education about some really cool stuff, terrific. If not, oh well. And so Chris was a great guest.
Yeah, I think they call that shilling.
Yeah.
So he wasn't shilling.
No, he's
So
not shilling.
That was good.
Not shilling. One of my favorite beers is 90 shilling. Just FYI. So, but right now we're going to welcome in another guest, and it's Alex Leishman, and I'm hoping that I'm hitting that correctly and saying his name correct. And he's from River Financial. He's going to tell us how we can buy Bitcoin this summer with no fees. There's not a single commercial that talks about fees, and everybody's like, "Yay, fees!" So no fees. Alex, welcome to the show. Please say hello and tell the wonderful people of Tulsa what you do.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's so this summer is what we're calling Bitcoin summer here at River Financial, and maybe I give a few minute background on who I am. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of River Financial. I've been working in the Bitcoin space since for most of my career since 2013, and at River, River.com, we make it really easy to buy, sell, and use Bitcoin. People sort of know us for having the best service in the industry, for having the best sort of financial reporting, tax optimization, focused on the long-term investor. People who are buying Bitcoin for the long term want to make sure that their Bitcoin is safe, taken care of, and if something ever happens to them, goes to the right person in their family. So, yeah, this summer we are making it very easy to accumulate Bitcoin for no fees. If you set up an automatic recurring order or a DCA to dollar cost average on Bitcoin and on River.com this summer, we don't charge you any fees after the first order is placed. So if you buy, you can set up a $10 daily order or a $10,000 daily order. You only pay fees on that first order, and every order after that, no fees at all.
That's awesome. In fact, what you guys are doing is amazing. And I know you guys probably have a ton of satisfied customers. In fact, we actually have one of your satisfied customers in studio. It's Charlie Spears from American BitPower. Charlie, why don't you say hello to Alex?
Hey, Alex. Good to talk to you again.
Hey, Charlie. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, well, I will personally endorse River Financial. Been a longtime customer, and I love Alex and his team.
Yeah, so let me ask you this, Alex. So when people, dollar cost average, what kind of gave you guys this idea? Like, was it because you saw a lot of people dollar cost averaging and this was like, man, this is like a no brainer. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, we found that the people who sort of just patiently buy in Bitcoin over time and don't pay attention to the price day to day are the people who tend to do the best long term. And we wanted to incentivize that behavior for our investors. And so especially with the big price dip recently, we thought, what would be better for people this summer than to be able to buy up this dip all summer without paying any fees? And, we want what's best for our clients, and helping our clients buy cheap Bitcoin is, what could be better?
Well, that's awesome, because you guys have an app, you guys have a website that people can visit. How can people set up an account? How can people get involved in your product and services?
Yeah, so it takes about 2 minutes to set up an account on River. All you have to do is go to river.com and click the sign up button. You can also download our app. All you have to do is search River in the iOS App Store, and it'll be right there. You can set up an account on a Wednesday afternoon or a Saturday night. No matter when you set up your account, you'll be able to buy Bitcoin right away. Even if banks aren't open, all you have to do when you sign up is connect your bank account and buy Bitcoin, and we'll debit the cash from your bank account the next business day and front that cash for you to buy right away. So takes 2 minutes.
What about if your wife is the first one who bought Bitcoin and she convinces you on a taxi ride in Mexico? Can you still set it up that way?
Absolutely.
Right.
As long as you have internet connection, you can set it up.
That's great. Well, even though this is not financial advice, Alex, and I know you're not a financial advisor, but, do you still think that we're in a bull market, and will price go up? That's what everybody's wondering.
It's a great question. Long term, I feel very confident the price will go up. In fact, both me personally and our company have been buying up Bitcoin during this dip. So we're very much long-term believers. Well, whether or not the price keeps going lower or pops back up here, I think we're about 50-50. I don't know. But either way, I think having some cash to be prepared to, accumulate during right now, and if we see lower prices, is a smart move.
Alex, we're looking forward to having you coming up on our show for a full episode on July 18th. But until then, how can people find out more about River Financial, and where do they find you?
Absolutely, yeah. So like I said, river.com, all the information you need will be there. You can find me at our About page on river.com. We're on Twitter. I'm at Leishman. And by the way, you pronounced that perfectly. Leishman. That's my Twitter handle. So feel free to follow us there, or at River on Twitter.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you guys are listening to this and you're wanting to get into Bitcoin, definitely give River Financial a look. They got a great product, great service, and I actually met Alex in person. He's been to Tulsa and he loves Tulsa. So stay tuned. We want to hear you guys. We want to have you guys back. If you're listening, come listen to this show again next week, because we're gonna have people like Alex and like Rice all the time. These are great conversations.
They are. It's interesting. I do wish we had more time, because I'd like you to launch into an explanation of just what the heck dollar cost averaging is, because people like me don't know, and I'm guessing some of our listeners might not, but here's what I do know. I know you can meet up with a bunch of folks who know a lot more about this than I do. The meetup, the Bitcoin meetup, is at Heirloom Rustic Ales. It's July 1st. That's Thursday at 6 p.m. It's on Admiral, just west of Yale. Check it out, and we'll be back here next week with Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore on 102.3 KRMG. I'm Russell Mills. See you then.